People driven to suicide by the depression of COVID, such a strong issue we're dealing with right now.
18-year-old Trevor Till took his own life after being socially isolated for several months because of the coronavirus pandemic and orders from the governor of his state. His mother, Lisa Moore, alongside her attorney, Laura Grohutsky, is joining us this morning with more on this very sad story.
Now, Lisa, your son, Trevor, I cannot imagine what you're going through. I'm so sorry for the hardship you're probably dealing with. I just can't fathom it. It's devastating. But your son thrived on being busy, his relationships at school, the type of kid that wants, maybe even needs to be around other kids. Tell us a little bit about him.
Trevor was definitely an extrovert. Yes, he thrived being with other people. He thrived being at school. He thrived being involved in many, many activities. Trevor was the president of his senior class at Seneca High School. He was the president of National Honor Society. He was the captain of the speech team. He was the drum major. Oh, there he is. He was the, captain of cross country. Okay. He was a pole vaulter. He was the lead in the musical, The Music Man. He was at school literally most days from 7 in the morning for some kind of practice or some kind of extra class with his teachers until sometimes 9 o'clock at night when he had musical practice. He was the perfect student where the teachers wanted him in class because he was always there to spark conversation, to get everybody involved, to give the differing viewpoint, to just intellectual conversation with the teachers. He just was an all-around great guy.
You know, we've had several stories like this, and you know, so many of the other networks are not. They're playing the narrative that they want to play, and they're not reporting on stories like this. The effects that this terrible virus are having on normal, good people, and your son's story is so tragic. Tell us about the last few weeks and what this has been like for you.
Oh, sir, it's been horrific. From that phone call that he was gone to now my life has changed so much. It's hard to breathe some days. It's just, I try to be Trevor strong. I try, but it's just my world and my Trevor's dad's world and my kid's world is just not the same, and it never will be. It's horrible. I don't wish this on anybody.
Lisa, it's heartbreaking to listen to you. I'm getting emotional myself. I'm so sorry for your family. And, you know, I think we all know a Trevor, someone in school that was the life of every room and brought up the energy and the kind of students that you don't necessarily worry about with this kind of situation. But as we've been mentioning, you know, this pandemic, a lot of high schoolers are not getting to do their extracurricular activities. They're not getting to socialize. And when you're a senior in high school, you think to yourself, you know, this is my life. This is all there is.
That's what it's all about.
And you can't look forward. Maybe as later on as an adult, you know, this isn't forever. We're going to get through this pandemic. You don't have that same mindset. And I know you're one of several parents that's actually suing the governor there in Illinois over the high school association and the state's youth sports restrictions. So what is the latest on that case?
Well, honestly, I thought my lawyer was going to be on this with me.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So she would be better to speak about that than myself.
If you don't want to touch that, yeah. We're having trouble getting the audio queued up with your lawyer. Maybe different. Do you think that things would be different had the governor handled the pandemic differently?
Yes, I do. I really feel like Trevor passed because of because of COVID isolation. Right. I think that had things not have changed in this world, Trevor would still be here.
Yeah, Lisa, our hearts go out to you. I'm so sorry. I'm so glad that you came on because you're bringing awareness to an issue that so many have swept under the rug. So thank you for your bravery, and thank you so much for coming on with us this morning. I can't imagine how hard that is. I'm a parent as well, and I honestly, I can't imagine.
It's the worst.
Your Democratic governor in the state of Illinois, JB Pritzker, he canceled winter sports. It's almost been a year that we've been dealing with this virus. At first, we shut down, and I should add that never before in the history of our planet have we quarantined the healthy. But that's exactly what we've done here in the United States. And the results, the results have been terrible, devastating for people who get the virus, and there are so many people with stories like your own. But the governor, who might see this interview, if you could say one thing to the governor, what would that be?
Why? Why did he make the decisions he made so quickly without any evidence that it was going to help anything? The high school kids that do get the virus are better within days. I know our high school is handling it very well. They quarantine those that have been around somebody. It is handled very well. I just think the mental health of these students, especially the high school and college students, is just the PTSD that they're all going to face after all this is so much worse than 2 days of being sick with a coronavirus.
Yeah.
Lisa, what advice would you give to parents who may see a slight struggle from their children, whether it is COVID, depression, mental health issues right now? I know you're not alone. There's parents across the country who are in this position and parents who could be. What advice would you give them?
Well, that's why I'm doing this. I feel in my heart that my son is speaking to me and telling me, Mom, there's kids in dorm rooms that are very sad. There's kids that are at home that are very sad. Please, help them. I tell parents, helicopter the heck out of your kids. Watch them, watch for any slight changes. Try to get them involved in some kind of activities. If they can't be doing things at school, just keep them busy because it's tragic. I don't want to see anyone else go through this. It's changed me forever.
Well, Lisa, we are thinking about you and your son. Such a ray of light there. Such a handsome young man. So talented.
Anything. He was talented in so many ways. He could have been anything.
Well, whether you know it or not, he's still with you right now. He's still with you right now. You just touched on something that I think no one talks about. We don't talk about it much in the media either. But wouldn't it be okay for a young, healthy 18-year-old to get the coronavirus, maybe be at home in bed for a couple of days, maybe quarantine and go through whatever that looks like, and then get back in school, versus doing this to people, millions of people, for months on end with no end in sight?
In my opinion, definitely.
All right.
Because as I said, we have not even begun to see the repercussions of what's going to happen with the PTSD fallout with all these children.
And it's gone on long enough. Lisa, thank you so much. We appreciate your time this morning. Thank you for telling your story and bringing awareness to such an important issue. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Trevor strong.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Trevor strong is what she keeps saying in her interview. And it's just, it gets you very emotional listening to that mother's emotion. You can only imagine and hope you don't have to go through that. But keep in mind, here at Wake Up America, we encourage anyone in the midst of a crisis to call the nationwide suicide hotline. That number, 1-800-273-8255. Our hearts go out to her family and all the families that are very, very much so in that position.
And we've got that information, by the way, on our website, newsmax.com. Again, thank you to Lisa Moore. We'll be right back.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.